that's the brain. The most basic parts of the whole brain, how the brain works, is by a nerve cell called a neuron, passing information via signals. This is known as the synaptic cleft or the synapse. This whole thing is called a synapse. A synapse is made up of two neurons working together. I kind of look at it as the basic family unit. So you think about it, the basic family unit, the basic unit of the nation or of a community is the family units, the mother and the father and the children. So the synapse is really what makes the brain work. This has to happen. This communication has to happen. If you're thinking, if you're throwing a ball, if you're sitting down, if you're writing the way you are, and whatever you're doing, this process has to happen in the brain. Obviously, it's a lot more complicated. There are several billions of this happening, but that's what happens. The brain has a network by which it works. Again, this is the basic parts, and this is the network I'm talking about. So these are all neurons, all connecting. Some single neurons can have as many as 40,000 neurons they're connecting with, all for different purposes: memory, function, sleep, whatever it is. Again, that's the brain, and of course, that's a neuron. So what happens with Alzheimer's disease is that the brain is shutting down those connections. That's really what's happening. And once it's shutting down the connections, the neurons are dying as well. Because the whole purpose for the neuron is to have connections. You can also relate that to life. The whole purpose of life is for you to be connected, to her, to live. Man was never meant, or mankind was never meant to live in solitude. We tend to die in some way or the form or fashion if we're not connected. And they say that those who tend to be single for a long time in life tend not to live as long as people who are married. And just one example. Doesn't happen, doesn't work in every case, but it is one of the things that they look at. It's so important that for well-being, you need to have connections. You need to have connections. Okay, so, and this is the end goal, end problem. The brain begins to shut itself down and eventually shrinks to about 2/3 or less of its original size. What triggers this program? Well, as we said, as Laura said, it's about over 36 different things. But the point is this: a lot of things happening at once over a period of time. Because over a period of time, whether it's chronic depression, maybe you've had a stroke, someone has had a stroke before, maybe someone has had diabetes. That's a big one, really big one. People who have diabetes have a greater incidence of dementia. Even those in the military, we're finding out that people in the military tend to have higher risk of dementia. Black people tend to have higher risks of dementia, and of course, women, some say as much as 3 times more likely than men to have dementia.